on, guys? Terp James J here with another story time. So, this story is going to be about the first time I ever got arrested. So, this all happened when I was probably 12, 13 years old. And before I get started with this story, it wasn't some badass story where I got locked up and I did time and all of this good stuff. I actually didn't even make it down the street before they realized, oh shit, he really didn't do anything. So, kind of gave it away. I didn't do anything, which is the crazy part. So, this all started, I was playing Grand Theft Auto, at its prime, GTA 5. And again, I was probably like 12, 13 years old, so I was just having fun, minding my business. Didn't have school. It was during the summer. And so I was just at home upstairs in my living room playing Grand Theft Auto. Now, my mom is at work, and the only person home was, it's hard to explain. But I had a adult, you can say at the time, that was there. And he wasn't sitting right there next to me, babysitting me basically. I was old enough to do my own thing. He was old enough to do his own thing. So I'm just sitting there, chilling, playing Grand Theft Auto. And my friend that's in this neighborhood, I'd rather not say his name, he showed up at my house. And it was a normal thing. My house was always kind of like the little get together spot, still is to this day. So he shows up with these kids that were in the more bad crowd, you can say. They were not the most well behaved kids. And so they all show up. There's probably like four other dudes. And I didn't know two of them. I only knew my friend and then this other guy that I went to middle school with. And so when we get there, we're just outside talking. I didn't invite them in or anything because they seemed like they're just going to be there for a quick little second. And where the fuck is everybody? Oh, that was a lucky shot. But so it was just them. I didn't think they were going to stay long. Sounded like they had other mischievous plans to go and do. And I'm sitting there, we're just talking for a little bit, and a random car drives by really slow. I've never seen this car before, and my neighborhood isn't big, so you can say, you know, you can kind of keep track on all the cars. So I've never seen this car before. I was super curious on who the fuck this guy was, because he's just walking around my neighborhood, or driving around the neighborhood. And I see him, and we're all sitting out front of my house, and I notice he's taking pictures. So I try to walk up to his car. I try to, see what he was doing. I thought I was kind of a little Billy Badass at that time, too. Really wasn't. But I wanted to see what he was doing, and he just speeds off. So I was like, okay, that was weird. And so I go on with my day, and it was kind of sketchy because the friend that came over immediately was like, hey man, I want to go. We got to go. And he lived right down the street from my house. So when that happened, like I said, didn't think anything of it. Just went back inside and was, doing what 12, 13-year-olds do on GTA. Murdering a whole bunch of cops. I had 5 stars. It was all good. I was having a fun time. And then all of a sudden, hear a very aggressive knock on the door. And like I said, I'm right upstairs. My front door is right next to the living room doors. So I walk over to the door, and there are 2 police officers outside. And to add to the suspense of this story, all of my neighbors are sitting outside with their kids. It was during the summer, so it was a nice summer day, middle of the day, so everyone's outside chilling. And here's little old Josiah with 2 cops in front of his house. Super, just, I didn't know what was going on, so of course I just opened the door, and immediately these guys were assholes. Well, they thought I was being a little asshole, so I don't blame them looking back, but, they brought me outside. They were really quick to, start questioning me. They brought me down to their car, and I wasn't in handcuffs yet, so that's a plus. I was not in handcuffs yet. But they're all telling me, they're like, hey, so down the road, there was some kids that threw a rock through a windshield of a truck. Big ass rock, too. It wasn't like a little pebble. It was basically, I don't know, medium sized rock. It wasn't small at all. And again, I had no idea. I was just at home this entire time playing Grand Theft Auto, being a normal kid, minding my business, and it all started clicking to me. But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to snitch on my friends. I didn't do anything. I knew, if you have a guilty conscience, then it's a little bit different, but I knew I didn't do anything. So I was super confident. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I had nothing to do with that. I hope you find those assholes. And all of a sudden, here comes the cop with some pictures. And here's me and those group of dudes sitting out front of my house. Address, you can see it clearly. And that's what the dude was doing who drove by. He was taking pictures because he drove around the neighborhood. It wasn't far from where it happened. And, wrong place, wrong time happened to be at my house. There I was sitting there with these 4 or 5 dudes looking guilty as hell. So finally, the cop keeps telling me, and I keep telling him, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what to do here. And he looks at me, and this is where they started being dicks. He said, we can play the non-snitching game. And my heart dropped. I was like, oh boy. And he said, you know what, go ahead and turn around. He did a little pat down on me. And again, all of my neighbors are sitting outside. And of course, it's not a bad neighborhood or anything. It's not no rich neighborhood. But it's a family neighborhood. So everyone now has their attention directed right toward me. And so, the cops are like, they're patting me down. I'm in front of everybody. And they threw me in handcuffs. And so we're going on a drive, and he's kind of giving me a lecture as we're driving. He's like, if you don't change your life around, this could be, your future. You're really fucking it up. You're still young. You shouldn't be doing this at your age. And I'm still sitting there like, well, this is fucked up. And I was still confident. I was like, well, when we get to the jail or wherever he was taking me, because they told me they were taking me to jail, I was like, I'm good because, they can, I'm young. I'm like, they can hook me up to a lie detector test and I'm going to pass that shit. But we're getting down the street, literally about a block down the road. And that's where my friend lived. That, did all this bullshit and got me in trouble. And they happen to be doing the same shit that they were doing outside of my house. Sitting there chilling. So the cop then pulls over super quick. And there's 2 cops. So there's 2 cops. And, we're all in a line. And so he pulls over. The other cop pulls over. And they start questioning all of them. And they did the same thing with me. He was being super, fragile at first, not really telling us, oh, we're going to be in so much trouble. But he starts looking at the picture, and it's like, those are the same kids that were outside of my house when the dude came by and took the pictures of them. So, right off the bat, I was kind of like, oh boy, I'm scot-free. And at the end of this, I was. But so they start talking, and shout out to my friend. He was like, you know what, man, Josiah didn't have anything to do with it. He wasn't there. We just went to his house because we were scared and didn't know where to go. And he was the closest house, and we knew this guy was chasing us. And so the cop kind of looked at me, and he was like, oh, damn, this kid's been telling the truth the whole time. And I think he kind of felt bad about the whole lecture that he gave me because it was a solid 30 minutes of a lecture that he was giving me outside of my house with all my neighbors sitting out there. It was actually super embarrassing. But, looking back, kind of felt like a badass. I shouldn't have, but, when you're 13 getting arrested in front of all your neighbors, you kind of feel cool. And looking back, I really wasn't. But so finally, my friend admitted that I wasn't there. I had nothing to do with it. And it was all them. And actually, 2 of the kids that he was with had warrants and stuff, so they left immediately after they left my house. They were just out of there. And the cop went, drove me back home, and that was the story of the first time I got arrested.